comparison to all
Michael, I've got to interrupt you. The judge is on the bench. The cameras are on. Fasten your seatbelts, folks. We've reached the verdict.
Face the flag of the United States of America, recognizing the principles for which it stands. Department 107 of the Los Angeles Superior Court, State of California is now in session. The Honorable Michael E. Pastor, Judge presiding. Please be seated.
This is the case of People versus Conrad Robert Murray, case SA 073164. Dr. Murray is present in court with counsel, Mr. Chernoff, Mr. Flanagan, Mr. Gorgian. The people by counsel, Mr. Waldron and Ms. Brazil. All alternates are present. All regular members of the jury are present. To everybody, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I am advised that the jury has reached a verdict. Who is the foreperson of the jury? Jury number 3? Thank you, sir. Is that in fact correct?
Yes, it is.
The jury has reached a verdict.
Yes, sir.
Has the jury, through the foreperson, signed the appropriate verdict form?
Yes, sir.
Do you have all the verdict forms with you?
Yes.
Could you provide the verdict forms to Deputy Jones, who will then present them to me? The court has reviewed the verdict form, and ladies and gentlemen, there was a typo in terms of the date of the alleged incident. It was written June 9th, 2009, and Jury number 3, you've corrected that to June 25th. You put a 2-5 and you put some squigglies after that?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. I've reviewed the verdict form, which now I will pass to Mrs. Benson, the court clerk. Mrs. Benson will publish the verdict.
Superior Court of California, Los Angeles County. The people of the state of California plaintiff versus Conrad Robert Murray defendant. Case number SA 073164. Title of courted cause. We, the jury in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Conrad Robert Murray, guilty of the crime of involuntary manslaughter in violation of Penal Code Section 192, subsection B. Alleged victim, Michael Joseph Jackson. Alleged date of June 25th, 2009. As charged in count 1 of the information. This 7th day of November, 2011. Four-person juror ID number 145, seat number 3. Is this your verdict? Is this your individual and personal verdict? So say you one, so say you all.
All jurors indicating the affirmative. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you whether this is your individual and personal verdict. I'm going to be asking you individually if this is correct. If it is your individual and personal verdict, say yes. If it is not your individual and personal verdict, say no. Is this your individual and personal verdict, Juror 1?
Yes, sir.
Juror 2? Juror 3?
Yes.
Juror 4?
Yes, sir.
Juror 5? Juror 6? Juror 7?
Yes.
Juror 8?
Yes.
Juror 9?
Yes.
Juror 10? Juror number 11?
Yes.
Juror 12?
Yes, sir.
All jurors having indicated the affirmative, the court clerk is directed to record the verdict. Do counsel waive further reading of the verdict as recorded? Mr. Waldron?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Chernoff?
Yes.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I now read to you final instructions upon discharge of jurors. You now have completed your jury service on this case. On behalf of all of the employees of the Los Angeles Superior Court and the parties in this case and others involved in this case, please accept my thanks for your time and effort. Throughout this trial, I have admonished each of you not to discuss anything about this case with anyone other than a fellow juror during deliberations in the jury room. That order is lifted and vacated, which means that from now on, you have the absolute right either to discuss or not to discuss anything about this case with anyone else. If you want to talk about the case, that decision is appropriate. If you do not want to talk about this case, the decision is appropriate. The decision is yours and yours alone. I repeat, the decision is yours and yours alone. I remind you that under California law, you must wait at least 90 days before negotiating or agreeing to accept any payment or benefit in exchange for providing any information about the case. Let me advise you of some rules the law puts in place for your convenience and protection. The lawyers in this case, the defendant or their representatives, now may talk to you about the case, including your deliberations or verdict. Those discussions must occur at a reasonable time and place, and only with your consent. Please immediately report to the court any unreasonable contact made without your consent by the lawyers in this case, the defendant, or their representatives. A lawyer, defendant, or representative who violates these rules violates a court order and may be fined. I hereby order that the court's record of personal juror identifying information, including names, addresses, and telephone numbers, be sealed until further order of this court. If in the future the court is asked to decide whether this information will be released, notice will be sent to any juror whose information is involved. You may oppose the release of this information and ask that any hearing on the release be closed to the public. The court will decide whether and under what conditions any information may be disclosed. I do order that the confidential emergency contact information forms you completed and provided to the court staff be destroyed. On a personal note, I remember way back when, in early September, when first we met, I advised you at that time that you were being asked, as all jurors are asked, to accept the responsibility of citizenship in this great country. And I told you I understood that serving on a case would be a hardship, an inconvenience, and burden on you, because you have your own lives outside of this courtroom. You have responsibilities to your jobs, to your profession, and to your families. You have undertaken the responsibility of jury duty in a remarkable fashion, as do jurors every day throughout this great country. You have made sacrifices, and you certainly have had to endure burdens and impositions, delays, and a case that ran over what I told you you would have to serve. Throughout this trial, you have been remarkable in terms of your patience, in terms of your conscientiousness, and your dedication. You've never been late. You've been here, and you've had a wonderful disposition. You always have been respectful to those of us in the courtroom, and we're genuinely appreciative of it. I certainly know and appreciate that serving on a case of this sort has interfered with your everyday lives, but you undertook the responsibility in good faith. And I again want to indicate, on behalf of our courtroom family in Department 107, as well as those involved in the case, thank you for your time and your efforts. I want to single out the alternates in this case. If you recall, when we met the first time, I told you that the only way to analogize the role of an alternate is a spare tire. Most of the time, you never need the spare, but when you do need it, you really need it. We didn't need spares in this case because the regular jurors were so conscientious, but the 5 alternates also were remarkably dedicated and conscientious, and I want to thank you as well for performing your civic duty. I'm going to ask that you accommodate us a little bit more by going back into the jury room and just relaxing for a few minutes. I and some of our court staff members want to go in and thank you individually for your sacrifices. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of all those involved in the case, thank you for being jurors in this case. And again, I want to wish you the very best. We stand for jurors in this courtroom, and it's not standing for them in terms of tolerating them. We actually stand up for jurors, and people want to know why we do that. Well, we do it because we respect you and because we appreciate you. And that's why at every session in this case, we have stood for jurors, and why now again, those of us will stand for you as well. My best wishes. You are discharged and excused.